Today on Indie Attack with Kelson
and Woody,
we have Kingdom Rush Frontiers. This is by Armor Games, the prolific free indie
publisher,
game.
developer,
developer people who have a lot of cool
pseudo indie,
pseudo indie. They're kind of upper echelon indie, let's say. You know, they get a lot of traction. The original Kingdom Rush was a really big success for them, and they actually ported it to Steam. You can buy the full version. You can play it on your mobile devices, and the same is true of Kingdom Rush Frontiers. I was a big fan of the original. I thought it was a really, really really polished, good-looking, functional, with a nice level of difficulty, tower defense game.
Yes, this is a tower defense game.
And it's a classic tower defense in the sense that it is a lane-based, where you have certain areas where you can build your towers.
Each map has kind of a different setup. Each map has portions where you place your various towers. You can do guards, which slow people down, but don't really do a lot of damage on their own. You can do bombs, which can stun people and deal a lot of damage.
AoE.
Have a slow rate of fire.
Right.
Magicians go through armor. Archers are just general damage, but they're really cheap.
And they have good range.
Fire rate.
Yeah, and then eventually once you get unlock later tiers, and they have like all these expanded
and
abilities.
that's a big part of this too, is that all of your different buildings and people, because you can also have hero units. Have things that you can upgrade about them. You will also get powers as the player. You can set mercenary kind of guys that will just defend for like 10-15 seconds and then vanish or die. Or
so that's what's cool about this. Like, that is different than a lot of like TD games that you'll find on sites like Congregate or whatever. Is that there's a lot of environmental things that'll happen, and I don't know if you had any of the levels, but like sometimes like a giant creature will start paving a pathway, and you're like, oh my god, that's like all the way over there, away from my towers, and then you have to like scramble. There's a lot of interactive elements, and the map sort of will reveal itself over time, which is pretty cool. And there'll be like a unique, like a hut over here, and you're like, oh, what's that? And then you can, on one level, there's a pirate ship, you can get them to have a bombardier to strike at them. Like little interactive elements like that, in addition to strategizing and figuring out the right place, the tower placement. And what I really like about this franchise, is that tower placement is huge. Like, there's not it's not one of those games where you just pick one unit that's the overpowered one and you upgrade it all the way right away, and then it's like that's all you need. You really have to think about it. It's not just about, it's a balance of upgrading and strategy and knowing where to place people, and knowing and learning enemy types. So another element that's really cool about the franchise is that you can choose when you unleash your waves, and the earlier you unleash them, you will get a gold bonus. There's a Chivo for if you do it constantly, which is what I would do because I was trying to get my gold up real quick. And so there are a lot of different interactive elements that are constantly happening. It's not one of those tower defense games where you just sit back and build phase, done, and then you're done.
It's very active while you're defending your towers.
Exactly, and you can position when you build guard barracks, you can move them around. So there's a lot of stuff going on here, and I think it's like really cool. I really like it.
I think there's a lot of content here too. This definitely seems like a game you can put some time.
This is a full game. This is like a bigger, and I'm putting this onto the scale of, because you can pay to unlock stuff in this game, and it was a frustration I had with the first one, where after a certain point I did feel there was a certain areas where I felt like I needed to buy the full version to have like the full stuff unlocked. I haven't run into that in Frontiers as much, so I think they maybe had some feedback.
I think how it seems like, looking at the upgrade menu, you get stars when you complete a level, which is what you use to buy upgrades.
Yes.
And looking at how many stars you can get in total, it seems like you eventually might run out of stars to collect in the main game, and then that's where the paid content comes in, is that you can then buy more stars.
What's cool in Frontiers that they added, the hero unit, that's a big deal. That is not in the original, so that's a whole other element. And also the you have challenge levels, like you can replay them, not just to like get 3 stars on them, but you can also play them with like different specifications, and those will get you stars as well, like the challenges. So that's cool too. I don't recall that being, I think there were challenges in the original, but they didn't give you stars. So that's like, I think they probably heard the fans talking about, I don't want this to be a pay-to-play game, and so it seems like they really listened to that.
For my relatively, you have a lot more experience than I do with this. From my relatively limited experience, this does seem like a game that, while there is a paid option, you can probably get a lot out of this without ever spending a dime.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this, you can bang out an hour of, where you need a good game, easy.
All of this being said, there is always... All of this being said, from what I played, there are a lot of games in the tower defense genre. It's a pretty common genre, and it's a pretty common indie game genre, because You know, cynic speaking, you don't really need a ton of resources to make one, and to make it good, it's kind of all about mechanics.
Yeah.
I didn't really get to a point in my playing it where I got like a cool twist. I think you've kind of mentioned a couple things here, like the monsters and stuff, that sound like a really big twist for tower defense. I didn't get to the point where I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Yet.
Totally.
Because I didn't put the time into it. And with this being such a saturated genre, I would kind of want to see that early on a little bit more to say, like, this is why this game is different. And I've played some tower defense games like that. But overall, I think this is a really, really solid tower defense game.
Yeah.
So
it's definitely,
I don't think you could go wrong playing this. Were you interested in the genre?
It's definitely polished. I will say that it's not something... Yeah, it's not redefining the genre or elevating above the genre. It's just a really, really solid entry into the genre with some unique flavor to it. So I definitely highly recommend it.
Check it out.